Hello, friends. Welcome to Buddy Time Podcast. I am Sin. Each week, me and my two buddies, Victor and Name, we gather to discuss and share our thoughts on different topics that relate to young adults in Thailand. You'll hear interesting real life stories and experiences that may inspire you and enrich your life. So, join us for some chats. This is a Buddy Time podcast from Me Goody of Buddy Up. Hello, friends. Welcome to Buddy Time Podcast. How are you doing today? I'm your host, Sin. And in this episode, my buddy, Name, will be with us to chat about the different opinions on working from home and working in the office. As most of the places, especially in Bangkok, everything is starting to get back to normal, but not so normal if you know what I mean. Like, more businesses are reopening and people are starting to go out and socialize again. Of course, with our masks on, and better if you're vaccinated, right? Just to be safe. So, more companies are also starting to get back to work in the office, but are we all ready to see our colleagues and managers in the office again? Let's see what are some worries people are having about returning to the office and some reasons why people want to go back to the office. So, with this topic, I think it's quite relevant to you right now, Nim, since you will be soon going back to work in the office after a long while. So, how are you feeling about that?
I'm feeling quite complicated actually because working from home and working at the office each have perks of its own, and to choose one it's quite hard, and it depends on the situation, which of course we'll be discussing like the pros of each further in the episode. Like I would say, if there's no COVID, I think half of the time I would want to be in the office, but then with coronavirus and me being a person with OCD, if I could choose, as for now, I would definitely choose to stay working at home, just because I feel like I would be very anxious to commute to the office and sit in the office among people that I don't know where they went days before.
So, for you, you actually prefers to work from home now, right? Instead of working in the office.
Yes, with the virus, I want to work from home. But if no virus, then I would want to go in the office. But actually, I think the ideal option for me would to have something like a hybrid, like having days in and out of the office, because I feel like actually you don't have to go to the office every day, right?
Yeah, that's true. I think a hybrid system, if that's how they call it, like where you get to choose to work in the office and work from home, like a combination of both, sounds like a good plan to me. Well, anyway, let's take a look at this article from HuffPost. They have shared a few reasons why people prefers to work from home and why some want to go back to the office. Let's take a look at each of these. So with the first one, some people are worried about returning to a germ-filled office, which is very similar to your case. Like you said, you're quite an OCD person. How do you think you're going to cope with this?
I think the first time, like the very, very first time, is going to be the hardest. But once you get out, then it's like, like a switch. Because, and in the end, if you have to do it anyway, like you have to do it anyway. But I just think that I would be like, super paranoid, like keep looking around, trying to get away from people who's coming like a little bit too near for my liking. And then I would have like alcohol gel and spray and wet wipes with me all the time. I would like, keep cleaning my hand every 10 minutes. But I do get these people's concern, because like people are all different. Some would have like their guards on and some would not. Some people would wear masks, some they don't, or some would just wear it halfway. So And it's not like we can just go force people, like going to like some strangers and please wear your mask. Like we can't always do that. And yeah, I totally get why this is like the number one concern.
In this case, if the company they have a very strict protocol or routine for them to clean the office, the public area, or impose a strict rule for those who comes back to work in the office, maybe somehow will reduce the fear of, people feeling anxious about getting into the virus in a public space and prevent situations like you said just now. What if some people don't want to wear masks, but now you can tell them that, oh, this is a rule here that you have to follow. you know you just have to wear a mask because everyone is here, and we have to follow this kind of rules to keep everyone safe. But at the same time, I feel like because most of us have suppressed ourselves for a long time already, so now that everything seems to get back to normal, seems to get back to normal. So I don't know, like somehow, in my opinion, I feel like some people are already having this type of mindset that the virus is just gonna be here with us, and I am already vaccinated, so it doesn't really matter that much anymore. I can let down my guard a little now. Like it's okay if I don't wear masks just for a few minutes.
I think maybe people would be like worry like the first few days or first week even, or maybe it depends on people. Like some would take much longer to readjust themselves, or some would just take a very short while to readjust themselves. But eventually they'll get used to going back to the office, and then they will start like their anxiety will start to reduce. And I think it would happen to me too. Like at the first day, I would be super anxious, and then after a while, like I'm used to it, and it's like, okay, I know what I'm going to do, how it's like. Yeah, just the first time would always be the hardest.
It's more like getting used to something that you don't feel comfortable with. How about the second one? Some people say that they love their work from home setup and can just as easily do their job remotely. Does that apply to you as well?
Sometimes I would say, and I also think like it depends on what kind of job you have, and whether those jobs requires a lot of equipments or special tools or not. Because I mean, if you have those tools at home already, then great, but if not, then you might need to get a new one, or borrow some tools, or even like bring everything from the office, which could be like a very big hassle. But I also understand why people feel like they're already comfortable with it, because they're already adjusted themselves to working from home and having all the equipments ready and set up. And some already have like their workspace like decorated and adjusted to their liking, that would help them work more happily. And maybe that's something that they can't even do in the office. For example, having lots of plants, like you can't have lots of plants in the office, right? And they feel like they have more freedom. We could schedule our day, right? Like if you in a way that we could still finish our work and also have time to do something else.
Yeah, working from home just gives you a lot more freedom and flexibility to do your own daily tasks. And I think for some people, they might feel less stressful working in that way because they're working in a space that they've created for themselves, and a space that would make them feel more comfortable. And it's the kind of environment that may probably gives them more inspiration or productiveness, if I may say. But that really depends on each individuals, right? Because not everyone can stay focused if they're working from home, which I think that's the other reason why some people wants to work in the office.
This also leads to one of the reason why some people might want to go back to the office is that maybe they're living in a small space that they can't really have like their workspace and their resting space separated, and that's not very good when you're working. Like imagine working next to your bed. It could be a lot of distractions, or if you're living with a lot of family members, and it can't be helped if you have to go talk to them or when they need to talk to you, and sometimes they also have to do their things, and the noises might clash.
It could be too distracting for them to work from home because, like you said, they might be living with children or people who are really loud or even pets. That could be quite distracting for sure. But if we're living by ourselves or no one really disturbs you when working from home, then it's just up to our own concentration whether or not we can stay focused in a very comfy and relaxed environment and make sure that you can stay away from your bed because sometimes your bed can be like constantly calling you to just come and rest a bit and then you will not be able to get up from your bed anymore, right? So that's the opposite reason to why some people want to go back to the office and work. And here is another reason why some people said that they want to stay home and work at home is because they are an introvert, dreading the small talk, and somehow during the lockdown, they have gained some weight. And now that they have to go out and see other people again, they may feel self conscious about that because of their own image or body shape and all that.
I agree that there might be some people having these concerns because, people change during the lockdown, and some gain weight, some lose weight, and a lot of us, even if, even if you're not even an introvert, but then because of the lockdown, you stay alone more often, and somehow you've becoming more of an introvert than your usual self before the pandemic. And I don't think it's also only like limit to introverted people. I think it's almost everyone in general that we have to kind of like readjust ourselves in when we're socializing again.
I totally agree with you about how when we don't consider ourselves as an introvert before the lockdown, and now because of the lockdown, we somehow became a more introverted person. I mean, it doesn't apply to everyone, but at least this is true to me. Like before lockdown, I thought I am quite extroverted, if I would say. Like I don't mind going out, explore so many things, to meet new people, to attend random activities and events. But after lockdown, it was a long period of you being with yourself. Of course, with your family members, if you're living with your family members as well, right? But most of the time, it's just you with yourself doing your own work, not being able to interact and socialize with other people or your friends. And if you don't have the habit of chatting with your friends using social media, somehow I feel like the situation, the environment have made you into a person who doesn't really interact with people anymore. So that's how I think I became a more introverted person and I become comfortable with being this type of person. Like I think it's actually quite good to be able to be with yourself sometimes. Yeah. But I also miss going out with friends, don't get me wrong. So I think we just have to slowly readjust ourselves to go out, right? But there are also some good things about working in the office. For example, some people say that it's more productive and efficient when working in person because you're talking to your colleagues or coworkers right away or discussing about a certain problem right away. So somehow the work process is a lot easier comparing to when you have to turn on your Zoom camera and wait for your colleagues to get online and talk.
Yes, totally agree. Because I also have some similar experience to that. Like, it's easier for you to ask for help. It's easier for you to, call for a short meeting or discussion. You can just, stand up, take a peek at your friends if or your colleagues if they're busy or not, and if not, then you just go to them and ask for help. But then when you're at home, you don't know what they're doing. You don't know if they're free or busy, and then you have to chat to them and chat to them to ask them, and then that might takes you like an extra 10 to 10 to 15 minutes. And also, when you work in the office, you feel more assured and less stressed from having like technical problems. For example, if I'm using an equipment or a tool in the office, and if something broke down, and I can just go to the IT department, or there's someone else in the office that might help you. But then if you're alone, then you don't know what to do.
Well, one of the reasons I can think about working in person is that the vibe could be different. Like personally, I think I'll feel more energetic if I'm working with people next to me instead of me having to leave a message through social media. Just like you said, I still have to wait for their reply, wait for them to read my message and decide whether or not they want to reply or not, right? So for me, I will also prefer working in person, and people's energy will affect your mood as well for some reasons. At least that's how I see it, right? If you're with a colleague that is super energetic, super active, super positive, somehow, at least for myself, I will feel that way as well. I won't feel tired, I won't feel lazy. I will feel motivated because of a person, a colleague like that.
Yeah, you can feel motivated just by like seeing somebody sitting next to you working. Like when you started to feel lazy, and it's like, oh shoot, my colleagues is working like crazy. I have to work too. And yeah, and even if like all of you are stressed, but then you at least have each other to sympathize with each other and try to lift each other's mood up. And I also think that being able to work in the office is good, that it helps you learn, because you would see what your colleagues are doing, and they might just have like a totally different method than what you're doing, and then you could learn from them and they could learn from you. So in the end, both you and your colleagues would learn new ways to work efficiently.
But would you say if is your senior or your boss is constantly observing you during your work, like because you're in person already, right? So the chance for your supervisor or your boss to observe you throughout the day could be somehow stressing as well, or makes you anxious. Won't that happen to you?
I don't know about the others, but from all my years of experience working, like I've never have a boss or managers who constantly observe me like all the time. Like first of all, we don't sit that near with each other. Like my boss also have like her own space, and like they also have their own work to do, so they don't really have time to um constantly check on the staff. Yeah. And even so, they do like, I don't know, maybe I'm lucky, I have like a very understanding boss. They know that sometimes we also want to take some breaks, so they don't wouldn't mind if I just get up from my desk, walk to my friends, and have like a very small chat just for like a few minutes and come back to work, because we all need a break. And I'm very lucky that I have a very understanding boss, and I think most of the boss are like that. I don't know. But I think they don't. But for sure I think they would be like very busy, so like they also have a lot of things for them to work on, especially managers. So I don't think they have that much time to go check on their subordinates or their staffs.
Well, yeah, I hope everyone who's going to get back to work in the office or having their new job somewhere will have a friendly and understanding supervisor or boss so that you will also enjoy your working experience, whether or not you're in the office or they allow you to work remotely. How about feels nice to dress up? Some people prefers to get back to the office because they want to, have the reason to go out and dress up.
Yeah, totally agree. Sometimes you're just bored at home. And I don't know, when you work at home, you want to wear something comfy, and it would be weird for you to just dress up in suits and blazers. And sometimes you just want to feel pretty and beautiful, and you just dress up. And I mean, there's nothing wrong dressing up at home, but sometimes when you dress up, you feel like, oh, I want to be people to see. So, and there are these clothes like lying in the closet, and it haven't seen like sunlight for like a year now. So obviously we want to take that out and wear it and go outside.
Well, that might apply to someone who loves to dress up or who are quite fashionable, in my opinion, because personally, I am someone who is very lazy to put in the effort of dressing up. Don't get me wrong, I do dress up myself nicely or appropriately, but because I am a more of a casual, minimal type of style, so most of the time, all I do is, wash up myself and a t-shirt and a pant would mostly be it. And I feel comfortable about it. Unless there is some special event or occasion, of course, I will put more effort into dressing up myself. I mean, with the same style, I can still do that at home. Like wearing a comfy t-shirt and a pants, I can still do that at home, and it wouldn't seem strange for me to do that.
Yeah, I think this is also why there are also a group of people who prefer working at home, because they feel that they don't have to worry much about dressing up. Like they could save a lot of money because they don't have to invest in buying like new clothes. Because when you go to the office, you have to make sure that you dress appropriately, and then there might be some special meeting that you might need to dress extra nice, and then you have to buy new clothes. And just working from home, you can just wear anything, and there's no need for you to spend extra money, and then you can just have more savings. Like me, I actually feel good staying at home because I don't really have to dress up that much. But once in a while, I also miss dressing up.
That's true too. Well, how about, do you miss the pantry area at the office where your company offers good coffees and snacks? Well, maybe not everything is good, but at least they're all free for you and that you can have, free coffee and snacks, and maybe your office also provides better Wi-Fi for you.
Yeah, definitely. But not really the pantry, because they my old office, we have like free coffee, but it's a different type of coffee that I usually take. So I buy it from outside. But I of course miss drinking good coffee. And back in my old office, like we have different coffee places around for us to choose. Yeah, so I definitely miss that. Like I can't brew a good coffee by myself, and it needs lots of equipment. Even if I have equipment, I don't know how, I don't know the technique.
Speaking of that, maybe in our future activities, we can actually have some coffee experts to teach us some home brewing techniques. So we all can enjoy some quality coffee at home, right? So let's plan that into our future activities. Yeah, and how about the office setup? Do you think your office setup is better than the ones that you have at home? Like, first of all, I think we should clarify what type of office setup we're talking about. Because, like we discussed earlier, depending on the kind of job, right? Some office setup is pretty simple. All you need is a computer or a laptop. That's all. And maybe just some stationaries for you to take note. That's all. What kind of office setup do you need more? And that's the kind of setup that everyone can create almost in any places, right? So I'm wondering what type of office setup would make people want to go back to the office and not stay at home.
Like for me, I can't really like I really have no comments on that because for me, the type of job that I do, I just need a laptop and a screen. So actually, I could just work at home or work at the office. I mean, the office setup doesn't really matter to me that much. But I also do understand like some jobs they requires more equipment. For example, like if you're a graphic designer and you need a lot of tools, and or if you're working in arts or like a photographer or something like that, or even if you're like doing some coding or programming and you can't just bring everything back at home, right? Or even if you don't need a lot of equipment, but some people might not have the time and resources to create a work setup that would allow them to work smoothly at home, because this also extend to having a good internet connection and stuff.
That sounds reasonable to me. Most of the time, all I need is a computer. Unless, like, for example, we're doing podcasts, we definitely need a microphone setup, right? A quiet space, a quiet room for us to do this recording. And I think that may explain for those who would want to go back to the office. Anyways, eventually we all have to get back to work, and it's something that we have to face because the world continues to run. We have to make money, we have to go out, we have to see people. So what are some ways for us to deal with returning to the office anxiety? Do you have any of your own ways to deal with these things?
Yeah, first, whenever I feel anxious, I would just try to think of the reason or the goal that I have, like why I have to go and work, just to give let me focus back into the reality, because when sometimes when you're feeling anxious, it's just your anxiety, it's not you. So you just have to bring yourself back and try to shift your focus into your main goal. For example, I have to go outside because I need to work. Why I need to work? Because I want to be have money. And why do I need money? Because I want to be dependable, you know? Yeah. And also I try to, like in the article it said to dip your feet back into socializing. For me, like during the first waves, like I didn't set my foot out of the proximity of my house for months. And I just can't imagine how how to go out. Like I just can't. I just can't bear the thought of, feeling all anxious after coming back from outside. So I start little by little, just start by just going out for a coffee for like 30 minutes. And then I started to gradually extend the time I spent outside. So I think this is something that like you could do, similarly.
And the article also suggests that you can invite just a small group of, let's say, close friends or even colleagues that you are more familiar with, just to attend some small activities that you guys enjoy before getting back to the socializing world. I mean, just start by getting in touch with people you're close with first. Like just one or two friends would be okay, and make yourself feel comfy with interacting with people again. Maybe somehow that will help reduce the fear for, you know, interacting with people, right? And here's another suggestion which says acknowledge the stress you're feeling. So I guess for some people, they feel anxious, they feel stressed, right? But just know that it's okay to feel like you're not ready to go back into the office. You can be feeling tense or overwhelmed, just know that these emotions are legitimate and that is all right, because we all have feelings and emotions, and this is something that unfortunately we have to constantly face with. So acknowledge your feelings. Well, I have to say that I actually feel a bit more energetic seeing how the city becomes busier and more active now. Although I do enjoy my personal time being away from having to socialize, I also miss going out with friends and explore new places and activities around. Especially, I can now enjoy some of my work time in a cafe like how I used to. Just keep in mind that the virus is still around us, so be sure to stay safe and healthy no matter where you go and do. Also, before we go, we have a small news to share with you. So, after 3 months of sharing our stories and experiences on Podcast Weekly, we now have a new arrangement to try out in our next plan. So, our podcast will not be uploaded in weekly basis anymore. But please stay tuned to our IG and podcast for our new plan. We are preparing some new things for you and for us soon. Alright, so if you have anything to share with us, feel free to contact us on Megoody on Instagram at MEGOODYTH. Follow us for our new updates and activities. Hope you will join us again next episode. Until then, stay safe and have a great day.